this is Haley from OneOnRabbits.com, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking all about bonding rabbits. Now, bonding rabbits is probably one of the most difficult and frustrating things to do, especially if you don't know how to do it correctly. So in this 3-part series, I'm going to be telling you guys how to bond your rabbits correctly so that you guys can have successfully bonded rabbits. So let's just jump right into the video. This first video is all about preparing to bond your rabbits. To start off, I did want to make a quick disclaimer that all rabbits should ultimately have a bonded friend. If you would like an in-depth video on why this is and why rabbits should be bonded, please check the iCard up above. I have a whole video where I explain in detail why bonding rabbits is so necessary for their well-being. But for a quick summary, basically our domesticated rabbits come from the European rabbit, which in the wild, they live in warrens consisting of 2 to 10 other rabbits. The European rabbit is a social creature and needs to be with other rabbits of its own species. Dogs, cats, or even humans will never replace the bond that another rabbit would provide to your bunny. And please know that here in the United States, one of the most common wild rabbits that we see in the majority of the US is the wild cottontail. Please note that cottontails are solitary creatures, which is why you may think rabbits may not need to be together because the rabbits outside don't. But in reality, cottontails are very different than the European rabbit and one of the only rabbits who are solitary. European rabbits tend to be very territorial and potentially aggressive to other rabbits simply because they need all the rabbits in their warren to be trusted. Because of this, it can make bonding our domesticated rabbits kind of difficult because even though they aren't in the wild and don't need to depend on that rabbit for their entire safety, they still have those instincts and they're still gonna exhibit those behaviors. So when we are bonding our domesticated rabbits, these behaviors do come out and it can make bonding quite difficult compared to other animals such as like cats or dogs. So let's go ahead and figure out how to make this as peaceful as possible. All rabbits who are bonded need to be spayed and neutered. Not only should you do this to extend their lifespan and prevent future health complications, but they also need to be spayed and neutered to help with bonding. Spaying and neutering rabbits decreases the risk of cancer, extends your rabbit's life, it reduces hormonal behavior, which is one of the most problematic things when bonding rabbits, and it also helps with other behavior. Unfixed rabbits have a lot of hormonal behaviors which can be very dangerous when bonding. Females tend to be extremely territorial and aggressive when they are unfixed. Males can also be this way as well, but it tends to be more common in unfixed females. And males have the obsessive urge to constantly mate. This can cause problematic behavior like excessive humping, circling, spraying, and other mating behaviors that can cause the other rabbit to become very stressed and upset. Unfixed rabbits can and will fight, and there have been cases where rabbits seriously injure each other and even kill each other. Because of this, bonding unfixed rabbits should never be done, and all rabbits need to be spayed and neutered. After your rabbits are spayed and neutered, you should wait at least 1 month for all of the hormones to leave their body. It depends on the rabbit on how quickly or how slowly this process takes, but 1 month is a general rule of thumb on when the hormones should have left the rabbit after the procedure. Another reason to wait 1 month is that your rabbit should be properly healed before the bonding process begins. Males obviously will heal faster than females, but females will take longer to heal and you do not want to risk any injuries or ripping of the incision, so you want to wait the proper amount of time before you start the bonding process. If you don't currently have 2 rabbits and you are looking for a bunny to bond to your other bunny, the best thing to do is something called bunny dating. The way you go about this is you contact local shelters or rescues who have rabbits and you ask them if they offer something called bunny dating. Bunny dating is the process where you take your rabbit to a rescue or shelter and you have your rabbit placed in a pen with several different rabbits and you see which one your rabbit gets along with best. This is not a 100% guarantee that your rabbit will bond with this rabbit. However, it does increase your chances of that rabbit working out in the end. I will note, I've personally never done bunny dating. I've always just gotten rabbits and hoped they worked out. but that hasn't always worked for me. Sometimes my rabbits haven't gotten along and I've had to keep them separate. So if you really would like to make sure that your rabbit is going to bond, I would definitely strongly recommend bunny dating. If you are not in a position where you could keep two rabbits separated, you would want to speak to the shelter or rescue beforehand and ask if they offer foster to adopt. This is a really good thing because if your rabbit ends up not getting along with the new bunny, you could basically take the rabbit back because you're just fostering it and try another one of the rabbits at that rescue. A lot of rabbit savvy rescues will do this because they do know how difficult bonding is with bunnies, but it does depend on the rescue's policies or the shelter's policies, so that is something you're going to want to address ahead of time if that's something you're worried about. During the bunny dating process, you are going to have a pen and you are going to place your rabbit and the other rabbit into the pen for about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe longer, depending on, what happens. You'll want to do this with several different rabbits just to get a feel on which one your rabbit is getting along with best. I'm going to go over a couple of good signs and a couple of maybe bad signs that you could look for during bunny dating. In my next video though, I will go over an extensive list of rabbit behaviors that you will see while bonding and what to do with them. This is just a quick list for bunny dating specifically. Some good behaviors you should watch out for while you are doing the bunny dating is 1, the rabbits are just ignoring each other, sniffing different objects, not really hyper fixated on each other. You could also look for any positive interactions, such as them just sniffing each other, grooming each other, or grooming themselves, or just kind of aloof behavior, kind of just couldn't care less type of thing. Please note that it's extremely rare for a rabbit to ever groom another rabbit during a bunny dating process. If that happened, that is more of a rare thing. Rabbits tend to need extended trust in order to display that type of behavior. But, if that happens, that's probably a really good sign. Some other good behaviors would be laying down or facing their back to the other rabbit. Rabbits who turn their back to another rabbit, that is a display of trust. It means they don't constantly have to be staring at the other rabbit the first time your rabbits are ever meeting. Not all rabbits will feel safe enough to do that. These next behaviors aren't necessarily bad, but they could be problematic if you don't control them. So this doesn't mean if your rabbit displays these behaviors, they won't get along. It just means these are natural behaviors that they're exhibiting and you need to be careful so that they don't escalate. So the first one and most common one is humping. Humping is a display of dominance between rabbits. It has nothing to do with mating or anything like that, especially since all these rabbits are spayed and neutered. It is simply a dominance behavior. You will want to be careful though with humping that it only lasts a couple of seconds, and if it is lasting longer than that, you will want to gently push the rabbit off the other rabbit. The reason for this is that the rabbit underneath can become quite frustrated or scared, and that could cause them to lash out. So you only want the rabbit to be able to hump for a couple of seconds and then go ahead and push them off. Some other behavior that isn't bad but should be carefully monitored is aggressive grooming or nipping. These are all very normal behaviors and types of communication between rabbits. Rabbits nip to communicate. Nipping is different than biting. And aggressive grooming is very, very common in the early stages of bonding. It tends to get softer over time. So just be careful of it. Make sure it's not a full-on bite. Bites are more obvious. They tend to be like a lunge, a growl, and then a bite type of thing, but you do want to be careful. The following behaviors may mean that these two rabbits might not be the best fit. However, if you currently have bunnies and they are displaying this behavior, do not freak out too much. This doesn't mean that they won't ever bond. This just means during the bunny dating process, if these behaviors come up, it might be better to, find a different bunny where this behavior doesn't happen. So one of these behaviors would be immediate fixation on the other rabbit, immediate lunging, growling, grunting, boxing, more aggressive behavior just right off from the beginning. Again, this doesn't mean they necessarily couldn't bond. It just probably means it would be better to find another rabbit that your rabbit doesn't do that right away with. So boxing each other's faces or excessive humping. However, excessive humping can be quite normal, and I've had rabbits who hump like crazy and it definitely works out. I would just say it probably wouldn't work out if the rabbit underneath, the one who's being humped, if they are very distressed by the humping, that would maybe be a sign that that rabbit wouldn't be able to tolerate it as well. But yeah, I've definitely had rabbits who hump excessively, and it does work out. It just, they gotta get it out of their system. Excessive chasing would not be an ideal sign, and obviously fighting is not an ideal sign. Normally, things don't escalate too much during bunny dating if it is very monitored and, you know, short periods of time in neutral territory. But again, you know, things happen. So try several rabbits with your bunny, and if you don't feel like any of them are really clicking, try again in a couple months when the shelter has new rabbits in or the rescue has new rabbits in. Take your rabbit back, try again. You know, it doesn't need to be something that you need to pick a rabbit out that first time. If you are not feeling comfortable with the options there, try again, or try a different rescue, try a different shelter. You definitely don't have to jump into it if you don't feel like those two bunnies are a nice fit. Do not expect your rabbits to be grooming, cuddling, or loving each other at this stage. They've literally just met each other, and rabbits need to put each other through a lot of tests in order to trust each other, because like I said, in the wild, they trust these other rabbits with their life. If one of these rabbits isn't trustworthy, it could kill them indirectly by, you know, leading a predator to them or something like that. So rabbits are very picky on who they pick, and it takes a long time for them to trust another bunny. Like I mentioned earlier, bunny dating is not necessary. If you already have two bunnies, don't be scared to try and bond them. A lot of the times it can work out. There are a few situations where it wouldn't work out, but you know, I wouldn't be too scared to try it. So some people say that male and female bonds are the easiest bonds. Personally, from my experience, I would agree with that. I think male and female bonds are the easiest. Obviously they're all spayed and neutered. It just tends to work out with, you know, females being a little bit more dominant or territorial, and the males tend to be sometimes more submissive, but actually that isn't always the case. I bonded rabbits who it's the opposite, like Mocha was dominant and he was a boy, and Lulu was submissive. So, you know, it definitely depends, but I do feel like male and females tend to be a little bit easier. But if you did a bunny dating thing with a male and it worked out great, like that's awesome. Same with a female. Female and female works out great. Awesome. It depends on the individual rabbit's personality. It's just that in general, male and females tend to be different enough that they do tend to work out. But that's just a general thought process. It completely depends on the individual rabbit. You can also bond rabbits in groups of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like I said, in the wild, rabbits live in groups of 2 to 10. So it's definitely possible to bond more rabbits. However, unless you already have, you know, like 4 or 5 rabbits at home, I would definitely recommend just starting off with 2. Bonding 2 bunnies is the easiest bond in my opinion, unless you have like a very large group. I think like groups over like 5 or 6 tend to be easier to bond, but then if it's not big enough, it's more difficult. It's confusing, but basically I would recommend just sticking to 2 bunnies, especially if you're a beginner and you've never bonded before. So that's basically it for this preparing to bond your rabbits. In the next video, I'm gonna be going over all of the different behaviors to look out for when bonding and what to do when you encounter them. I will also be going over the entire bonding process in another video, so please stick around and watch all of those videos to learn how to bond your rabbits. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon on a new video. Bye!